Okay everyone, this is going to be a quick little video. We've been getting a lot of questions on the forum about people wanting to swap out the rear trunnion for the M10X, so I'm just going to give a little demo on how to do that real quick. The easiest way to do it is to remove the trigger pack first. You can do it without, however there is a possibility that you'll damage something and it's not easy, so it's easiest just to remove the trigger group first. Or to do that, first step, going to want to remove the roll pin on the left-hand side of the safety. I already have this one removed, but it's just a roll pin, taps through either side. It's not a taper pin or anything like that. So once you got that guy tapped out, safety lever itself just pulls off. Then you're going to want to push through on the actual safety drum. It should just snap out, and then once, just pull straight out like that. Next step, you have this little retainer in here. Just going to want to pull up on the retainer. It's hinged on the hammer pin, and then you'll just pull that right out. Next, you just got to remove the two pins, the one that holds the hammer and the one that holds the trigger. They go out from the right to the left side. Just going to use a punch. Just push the pin, pull it out, and that'll release the hammer. Then same thing for the trigger. And trigger just pulls straight out. So the trunnion itself is held in with 4 screws. You have 2 screws on either side of the trunnion, holding it from the side, and then you have 2 screws on the bottom. For one, you have the grip screw, so you're going to have to remove the grip. So take that guy out. That's just a Phillips head. We do use blue Loctite, so it might be a little tight to break loose. And then you're going to need to remove the bottom screw underneath the pistol grip right here. This is threaded into the bottom of the trunnion. Once that's removed, just need to remove both screws on either side of the receiver. And that's everything that holds the trunnion in. Now when you take the trunnion out, it'll just pull straight out of the receiver itself. You may need to push on it from the bottom here, it's a little snug. Now you want to be careful because the spring that controls the takedown lever is retained by the receiver itself. So if you try to push that lever with this out, that spring will go shooting across. There's a spring and 2 detents in there. And then putting it in, same step, just put it back in the receiver, then just replace all the screws. Once you get that, to replace the trigger group, going to start by getting the trigger, placing the bottom of the receiver, pin, goes straight through, make sure it hinges on the pin properly. And you can get your hammer. The spring should be on the rear of the hammer. So it's going to sit on the rear there, and these 2 legs are going to go up and sit on top of the trigger. So put the 2 legs on the back of the trigger and push the pin through. You'll see both legs sit right there. And that should operate the trigger right there. And you're going to get your retaining plate. So you're going to have to kind of push the spring over a little bit. You'll see on these pins, they have a little groove, and the retainer plate locks into that little groove on there. So it keeps it in place. So make sure both pins are flush, put the retainer plate on, then you're going to push it down onto the trigger pin. See this little cutout right here? That's actually what retains the trigger pin. So push that down. Then for your safety drum, you can just take that, push it straight in, and it'll kind of click and stop. And then you're going to need to pull up on this little tab right here. What it is the little bit right here that actually retains the safety. So you're just lifting this up and getting it into the notch on the safety there. So just have a little awl. Just going to push up on it. And get it up on top of the safety. And then it helps just keep pressure in. Just give it a little tap. You don't have to hit it hard. You'll see the safety drum is flush in there. At this point, you can make sure everything works. Safety should be locked into place. You should get, positive click on there. And you should be able to check your trigger, make sure it's resetting properly, check your safety, make sure it's catching properly. And at that point, if everything's working correctly, put your other side on and reinsert the roll pin, tap it through, and they'll lock everything together. Now, one important note, when you're replacing the trunnion, you want to make sure it's seated all the way down. It's possible that it can be sitting up ever so slightly, and if that's the case, the trigger actually rests on the bottom of the trunnion here. And if you don't have it all the way down up against the receiver and it's a little skewed, you can actually force the trigger upwards and your trigger's not going to reset properly. So if you run any trigger issues after disassembling it, that'd be where to look. Hopefully that helps some of you out.